Hey, here we go. Let's get started with all things Georgie's. Georgie's has two locations, one in Portland, Oregon, which I call the mothership, which is where production is and where they manufacture all their clays and glazes, and another store in Eugene, Oregon. If you order online, your orders are processed in the Portland store. If there is something by chance that you want specifically from the Eugene store, you can contact them directly or email them. Georgie's is a full-scale ceramic shop. Some people don't even realize that, and they don't even realize that Georgie's manufactures their own line of glazes and clays. Some people think it's just the interactive pigments, but Georgie's is much more than that. They sell numerous brands of glazes, Mako, Coyote, Laguna, Amico, Spectrum. They sell kiln equipment. They sell scut kilns, furniture, wheels, Brent wheels, Shimpo wheels, extruders, wall-mounted extruders, handheld extruders, tools, tons of tools. You could spend hours just in the tool area of Georgie's, where you can get Kemper, Zyam, mud tools, just about any type of clay tool that you want, they have. And there's also in the Portland store a little library where you can sit and look at books. And the Portland store has a kitty cat named George and a dog named Ishi. So if you want a little animal fix, you can do that as well. Now, many people don't realize that Georgie's does make their own brand of clays and glazes. All the way from low fire earthenware up to cone 10. Low fire earthenware, with the talc issue, they have had to reformulate their most popular Wonder White clay, but that has been reformulated, and they have several red terracotta clay bodies, and they have Georgie's manufactures slip for slip casting at the low fire and the mid-range stoneware. So this is a tile board. Hopefully you can see it all. This is the cone 5-6 clay bodies, and this is the new clay, which is Pioneer Dark with speckles. It's a beautiful clay. But the speckles do not have manganese in them. And a clay that's not on this tile board is the Christie Lombard clay, which I've been using a lot for my garden stacks, as well as the Timberline Sculptural. The Christie Lombard clay is basically G-Mix 6, but with a finer mesh grog in it. And I've been showcasing a lot recently the Trail Mix Dark Chocolate clay. And the samples that I'm going to show you today are on the Pioneer Dark with Speckles, the Timberline Sculptural, the Trail Mix Chocolate, and the Christie Lombard clay. Okay, so let's kind of move to glazes. A lot of people also don't realize that Georgie's manufacture several lines of glazes. So they have their gloss glazes, and all their gloss glazes are food safe. They have their sculptural and their textural line of glazes. Some are food safe, some are not. It tells you on the label and on the website. Then they have their newish, several years old satin line and the tie-dye line. And there's a new glaze in the tie-dye line called Milk and Honey, and I'll show you some of that, some samples with that. The Milk and Honey line, Milk and Honey Glaze, came about because so many people have been using the Honey Flux line or Honey Flux Glaze from Amico, which is very hard to get. So it has some similar properties to the Honey Flux, but it is a completely different glaze, and it does react differently. So if you get the Milk and Honey, definitely test that. A lot of people don't realize that Georgie's also has a whole line of raku glazes, which it's, raku season, so you might want to check those out. And then, of course, we've got the whole line, the interactive pigments, and we'll talk a little bit more about the interactive pigments. Now, with all of these different clays and glazes, I know a lot of people use Laguna B-Mix, and Georgie's does sell some Laguna clays and some Aardvark clays, including B-Mix, in case you need to order some clay from them. But whenever you use a different clay body, test, test, test. That is my mantra. Test your glazes. So this is the tie-dye line of glazes. It's kind of hard to tell just in pictures, but there is a completely different look with the glazes on a different clay body. So this is the tie-dye line on the dark chocolate clay, and this is the satin line on the dark chocolate clay. My preference, I kind of prefer the tie-dye line on the chocolate clay bodies, especially the seafoam. It's one of my favorites. Okay, when we're talking about testing, I just want to show you this, the difference. So this is the Milk and Honey clay, and this is on Milk and Honey Glaze. This is on 5 different clay bodies, and you get similar but different looks. So this is on the Trillium, and these are, I don't know if I did 1 coat. Yeah, 1 coat, 2 coats, 3 coats. This is on the Christie Lombard clay with 1 coat, 2 coats, 3 coats. And I don't know if you can see the difference. This is on Timberline Sculptural, 1 coat, 2 coats, 3 coats. So it does look a little different. But I'm loving it on the Pioneer Dark with Speckles and on the dark chocolate. You're really getting these oranges, especially on the Pioneer Dark with Speckles. You really get these pretty oranges. So definitely, as you're changing your clay bodies, definitely, test, test, test. Okay. Now, you can do a lot of combos with Georgie's glazes. And these are the exact same glazes. They're just applied differently. So it's ripe apple red and grass green. This has 1 coat of grass green on top of 2 coats of ripe apple red. And this is the reverse. 2 coats of grass green and 1 coat of ripe apple red on the top. And you can really see the difference. So you can do a lot of combos. And Georgie's glazes work well in combination with other brand glazes. So this birdhouse I did for a totem stack. This right here is one of my favorite combos for sculptures. You see me do this a lot on trees. This is the interactive pigment tree bark with white froth on top of it, and it looks almost like a moss. And then the base of this is interactive pigment Scotch pine, which just happens to be my favorite. But on top of it is Amico's Glacier Celadon glaze. And then this little flower is Coyote's New Amethyst. This is the Parakeet Yellow. And the roof is Coyote's Blue Purple. And then the back is Glacier with a Plum Island transfer sheet on it. And this clay body is the Timberline sculptural clay. So when I'm making my sculptural pieces for my garden stacks, I use lots of different glazes that, you know, all kind of work together depending on what color scheme I want. This house for a garden stack, this is Georgie's Vanilla Cream. This is Mako's Winterwood. This is my tree bark and white froth combo. The bird is an interactive pigment, which is the Winter Storm, interactive pigment Winter Storm with eggshell wash over it, and ripe apple red on the nose. Oops, hope you can see that. And so all of this, except for the Winterwood, all of this is Georgie's Glaze. Let's see, here's another combo that has some different glazes on it. This is my go-to, my tree bark with the white froth. These are Mako glazes on top. And this is Georgie's Vanilla Cream Matte. So, you know, you can really play with your glazes with different brands. This is a just a vase. This is a different clay body. When I moved here, I was trying out cashmere clay from New Mexico clay, and I just wanted to see how the glazes looked. This is one of my another go-to combos. This is Fiesta Yellow on top of Sand and Surf, and this is I believe it's Dry Rust, and on the inside I have Amico Pear. Okay, let's move a little bit to the interactive pigments, because that's what most people like to talk about. And a lot of people don't know, because when they use the interactive pigments, they're usually using the interactive pigments underneath a glaze. So this combo here is the interactive pigment Indigo with the Georgie's, one of the Georgie's Crackle glazes on top of it. It's the, which one is it? It's the Peking Blue on top of it. And this is the interactive pigment Full Strength. And so a lot of people don't realize that you can also put the pigments on top. What I really want to stress with the interactive pigments is that they are combinations and saturated combinations of oxides mixed with water. They alone by themselves are not food safe. And when you use them full strength, even if you put a food safe glaze on top of them, they are not food safe. What you must do is dilute your glaze by a minimum of 50%. I know Jessica dilutes about 75 to 80%. And then you put a food safe glaze on top of them. What I tend to do, because I'm really using the pigments more for sculpture and garden art, because I use them full strength. If you want to use them on a food, on a dish or a cup that's gonna have food in it, what you really want to do is dilute it by minimum of 50% with water, and then keep it to the outside of your bowl or the outside of your mug where your lips won't touch, and use the inside with a food safe and a food appropriate glaze. So what a lot of people don't also realize is that the pigments can go on top of a glaze. And when they go on top of a glaze, it's going to be something that's a little more painterly. And this is where you really also need to be careful with food safety. Because if it's not diluted, and even if it is diluted, you can get kind of a look like this. So this is Blizzard Blue with the interactive pigment indigo, and I used a wax resist technique. So what I did was I put down my interactive sorry about that. I put down my Blizzard Blue glaze, 3 coats. Then I did a wax resist in these swirly curls. And then I put indigo on top of it. And I don't know if you can see this, but you see where this is really metallic-y? And I did water down my indigo. Because this is so metallic, this is not food safe. So you have to be really careful. And so here are just some examples of the interactive pigments. Well, these are 3 different whites. Let's remove this. I don't know if you can see all this. So these are the interactive pigments brushed on the same way. This is eggshell wash. And this is full strength, just so that you can see the effect. So this is eggshell wash. This is white cloud, I believe. Yep. And this is white satin. So if you can see, I hope I can get these all in the same frame. If you can see, you're getting different looks with your pigment on top of it with all 3 different whites. And this look will be different if you put the interactive pigment sand and surf underneath white cloud. It'll look a little bit different. So, you know, my mantra is test, test, test. Now, another thing that you can do with the pigments is you can use them with stamps and silk screens. So with these, I put down my base glaze, and I believe this was eggshell wash, and I stamped with indigo interactive pigment on top of it. This is white cloud, and I stamped with indigo, and or these were silk screens. This is indigo, and this is sand and surf, and this is the white satin with the same pigments. So 2 different looks, and this is with silk screens, and oops, this is another one with the stamps, and this is stamps and silk screens with Blizzard Blue. I kind of like layered them. So if you want to do kind of a layered look or a mixed media look, you can do that with the interactive pigments. It's a little harder with the pigments. You kind of do it like you would do with the underglazes with the silk screens, but with the silk screens, you let the water kind of evaporate off, so your underglazes are really thick. So if you're going to do the silk screens with the interactive pigments, be sure to wear gloves, and don't put them anywhere where food is going to touch them, because they will be more saturated. So that's kind of what I have for you today. I'm going to leave you with my fun little fishy here. And these are all Georgie's glazes. This is maroon over sand and surf interactive pigment. This is perfect white. And this is chartreuse matte. Okay, so let's give you a little handout here. Gotta find it. with all the contact information, mine included. Let's see, hopefully you can see this. I don't know if I should turn it, I'll turn it both ways. But the Portland store and the website is georgies.com. Here are the phone numbers for Portland and Eugene. Instagram for the Portland store is at Georgie Ceramics. For the Eugene store is at Georgie's of Eugene. Facebook for Portland is Georgie Ceramic and Clay Company. Eugene is Georgie's of Eugene. And there is also a Facebook group called Georgie Ceramic Clay and Glazes User Group. This group is not monitored at all by Georgie's, although I am a moderator. And I volunteer to do that. Heather started this page several years ago because she just wanted to see different Georgie's glazes and clays and tips on using them. So that's why she started this group. So again, it's not monitored by Georgie's, but I'm a volunteer moderator for that. If you need to get in touch with me about anything, my email is maria@mariasartspace.com. My Instagram is at mariasartspace. Or you can also message me on the Georgie Ceramic and Clay user group. Okay, hope everybody has a rest of your Clay Share day. And take care. Oh, one more thing. Clay Share Prime members always have a 20% discount on Georgie's brand glazes and the interactive pigments. But you have to be a Clay Share Prime member to get the code for that. Okay, enjoy. Thanks.